On the camera. Okay, I just pulled the new valve out. As you can see, it's just plastic. What it's going to fit in with is a rubber gasket there and then a plastic nut on the bottom. Let me take the old one out so you can kind of get a feel for that first. I'll set this aside for now and then I'll come back to it. Simplest, if it's not just hand tightened, the simplest thing is one of these slip groove pliers. You can get a hold of it fairly easily. I could have done all this before I put the toilet in place, of course. And these you will have to change out periodically, even in a regular toilet that you're using in the house. They don't last forever. Sometimes they start to leak or the float doesn't work properly. They're not all that expensive to replace. You just want to make sure you always turn the water off before you do it, and you want to flush the toilet to get as much water out of the tank as possible. There's still going to be some on the bottom. So when you do disconnect your supply line coming into the bottom of this thing, you want to have a bucket or some kind of container there to catch what residue water will come out of the back of the tank. And remember, that's clean water that's in your tank. You don't need to be too freaked out about it. This tank is a little stained because it was in a house where there was a lot of heavy iron and sulfur in the well water. So over time it just stained it, but that's not a problem as far as how the stuff works. But you can see it's a nice brownish color. And but that's, like I said, this is all iron residue and sulfur residue from the well water. It's nothing else that was in here. But this is the old one. You can see, again, it had the rubber gasket there, and then the plastic nut on the bottom. And then on the end of this is where you turn your nut on your supply line, and we'll show that later when we connect that. So we're done with this old one. I think what I will do is, just to be sure, I'm going to wipe the inside there a little bit just to make sure it's clean. I'm not going to clean the whole thing up, it's not necessary, but just so that I get a good seal, so I don't have to worry about any kind of leakage there. So I just need to grab a paper towel. Clean this out. I'm just going to wipe it right around the hole there a bit. Just to make sure there isn't anything there that would interfere with the seal. Yeah, it's almost like dust, so I'm not too worried about that. Now then, with the new one, we've got our parts to put together here. The first thing we're going to do is take this rubber gasket seal. We're going to slide it right up on here. And that's going to go on the inside of the tank to provide the waterproofing of the connection. Just work that all the way up there. And what you'll also see here is that this can be turned so that you can raise or lower the height depending on how tall your tank is. If you have a short tank, you want to keep it down low. If you have a taller tank, maybe you want to bring the water level up. Obviously, you don't want it to overflow, and the way this float works is when the water comes up, it lifts it up, and when it gets to the top, this lever shuts the valve so no more water comes in. It's a very simple design, actually. So what we want to do then is just put this in the hole, just like that. And then I'll use my plastic nut again to connect it on the back side. And this one I might be able to finger tighten, I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Plumbing has become far more amateur friendly than it used to be. It used to be everything was very specialized and you needed certain tools and it was a real pain to do any kind of work. But over the years they've made it a whole lot simpler for the homeowner, well the plumber too, but the homeowner to do it themselves. So that's snug, I think that'll be good. I'll check that when we put water in. The next thing I want to do is I need to put this hose for the drain valve here. This goes into here like this. Not a problem there. And then it goes on to this little nipple that's on the side there. Just like that. And then this clips on to the tank here. Actually, I don't need this because of the way this other valve is designed here. I don't need that on there. In fact, I think what it does, I'll just cut it right off because the hose is plenty long enough. So I'll just take that and remove that. I don't cut my fingers off here. There. And then all I need to do is stick the hose in this little slot in the opening here. Just work that down a bit so it can't pop out. And that should be good to go. And that's all it is to changing out a valve. Now again, you have to put your supply line back on. And like I said, when you flush the toilet and the water goes out, then the flap falls back down. This runs and it will keep going until the float pushes all the way up and then it turns off. As you can see, it looks like it's just about where the dark line is where the water level was. What we have here with the height of it, it looks like about where it was. So because almost the whole float will be submerged, just the top will pop up. So we'll check that out when we actually put water to the toilet down the road. But for now, the toilet is in place until we're ready to actually connect it up. Put the lid on. And voila. Toilet's ready to go. Alright, we'll catch you with the next video with the next step. Thanks for watching.